as long as you have a good mouthpiece and you're fun to be around, you can override looks. I really don't think looks are much of a factor.
What I tell guys is looks are more of a factor on dating apps because it comes down to your pictures a lot, your pictures in your bio. But in person, yeah, looks don't really matter as long as you're charismatic and you're confident and bold.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. You know what to do. Drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji, drop it below if you're watching on YouTube. If you guys are watching during the premiere on Mondays, sound off in the live chat. I'm usually in there, hanging out while I'm editing videos in the morning, Monday morning. But that all helps boost us in the algorithm. If you guys are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, give us a 5-star review. Helps more than you know. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list, list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you some free stickers for your troubles. All right. Check out the Practical Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. I'm giving the course away for 25% off for all Patreon members for the entire month of July. All right. So if you've been waiting and wanting to check out the course, but you've been waiting for another discount, now's your opportunity, but you have to join the Patreon. So get on the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join for as little as $10. The next monthly happy hour hangout will be July 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. So get on the Patreon. You can join tier 1 as a free trial now. So 7-day free trial, you can get on that. And look, I'm not gonna say you can't have the Law of Attraction course for 25% off if you only join the free trial. Okay, that's available. You can get on there, grab the code, and get off. That's your prerogative. Okay, I set up the parameters, and it's your job to find loopholes. Okay, all right, that's how it works. All right. That being said. Joining me this week is Alex, better known worldwide as the Hudsman or Huds. He's a dating coach, a Dragonship member, and he's also the field reporter for that goddamn jabroni, Glenn Lawrence. When they do their Red Pill News videos, they're actually pretty funny. Anyway, Huds and I, we have a really good conversation. He's got a lot of good insights. He's really good at teaching guys how to get women to come back to your place on a first date, right? You don't even meet up out in town. They just come to your place. This is what he teaches guys. You guys are going to find this conversation very fascinating, and I will bring that to you right after these words. Are you tired of holding back your thoughts and opinions? Ready to let loose with like-minded men? Introducing the ultimate monthly video-based happy hour for men. Join us for an exclusive, unfiltered experience where you can talk about women, cars, movies, and anything else on your mind. Best of all, it's not recorded and there's no censorship. You can freely speak your mind without any worries. All you have to do is join my Patreon at tier number 1, and you'll gain access to this one-of-a-kind gathering. Visit patreon.com/comeonmanpod. That's patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Or click the link in the description. It's like the good old days when men would get together and talk about man stuff without being bothered by women. Sometimes guys just need a good group of men to hang out with. It's good for our mental health. Don't miss out on the camaraderie and conversation. Join us today and let your voice be heard. Visit my Patreon page and sign up now. Cheers to freedom of speech and great company. All right, joining me this week is Alex, better known worldwide as the Hudsman. He's a dating coach, a Dragonship member, and he's also the field reporter for Glenn Lawrence's Red Pill News. What's going on today, brother?
Dude, not much. I'm so excited to talk here. Thank you so much again for having me on. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic discussion.
I certainly hope so, at least for the ratings. Anyway, so it's funny because we talked about this offline, but the videos that you do with Glenn are absolutely hilarious. And how did you get in contact with Glenn? Was it through the Dragonship or was it before that?
Yeah, so here's kind of my journey. So I would not call myself a natural, but as time went on, like I was aware of Red Pill content, and during the pandemic, I was going through some stuff, bad breakup, and I was like, I just want to be around guys that can kind of push me forward again, like simple reminders of what I was supposed to be doing. And I ended up joining MLD's groups,
Mm.
and through joining MLD, then I got introduced to Thor, and then through Thor introduced me to Glenn, and so like that's how this entire thing started.
Okay. So is that would you say you got into were you a dating coach before that or were you doing other stuff before that?
So, okay, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Essentially, I was I was that nerd. If you think about like high school, I was the type of guy who would look forward to the weekends, not to go out and socialize, but because I got to have like 6 to 8 hours of video games a night where I could play Halo, Call of Duty, things like that with friends. And I just wouldn't do anything else. And I started thinking like, you know what? Like I really need to make a change here. I need to make a change because obviously I want to be hanging out with women, but I'm not doing anything to make that happen.
Mhm.
Um, I forgot the question. I'm sorry.
Well,
My
I
brain
was
just
asking because you were saying that you joined MLD's group around 2000 because you were going through a breakup, and that's where you got introduced to Thor and stuff. And so I was asking if you were doing date coaching before that, or if it was sometime after that that you got into that. And then you said that you're not really a natural, and you used to be a total nerd and play
Yeah.
video games.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Sorry about that, man.
I pay attention. I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I sorry about that. I didn't mean to like stumble like that.
It
Um,
happens. It happens. No worries.
So essentially, from that, I had to teach myself,
Okay.
and that's what I spent a lot of senior year of high school, and then going into college doing is working on these skills myself.
Mm,
And then even when I was in college, I became the social chair of my fraternity, and so I was constantly talking to all the different sororities, getting everything scheduled. I had to have things on point, and I did that to challenge myself. So from there, and for all the years afterwards, I didn't really have problems with women.
mhm.
But this one girl, I mean, we always talk about like,
There's always
oh,
one. There's always at least one, right?
I know, and it just, um, it was really rough, and I actually got arrested over it. Like,
Wait, what? Okay. All right, you're
yeah,
that guy. All right, let's go into that.
yeah.
As
So
far as you want to go, by the way, we don't have to go too far in that rabbit hole, but
absolutely. So I'm fine with sharing it. Actually, yesterday was the official date. You know what? I'm not going to share that information because I don't want people snooping around.
to dig it up.
Um,
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, but yeah, no. Essentially, it was
The good news is that there's a space-time continuum here. So at the time we record this and the time this drops, totally different time. So you guys will have to cannot figure this out.
oh, good. But essentially, it's so dumb, and like I'm embarrassed by the whole thing
Yeah.
because it was essentially like an argument that just kept escalating, and then we had somebody living above us who was
Mm.
pregnant, and so she couldn't sleep that night. She was cranky, and she ended up calling the cops on us. And I think you're aware in like most states, if they come for a domestic disturbance, they have to arrest somebody. Who are they going to arrest?
They usually arrest the man, of course. Yeah.
Mhm. So that happened to me, and about $10,000 later, I mean, I don't have much on my record, but I had to go through that entire process, and it
Mm,
really sucked. And so I thought I had everything figured out. Then that happened. Then the stupid idiot that I am, I ended up dating another girl,
mhm.
and I ended up cheating on her with the girl that got me arrested. So I got back together with the girl.
That toxic pussy is something else, isn't it?
It is crazy. There's just something different about it. I don't really
It's
know
a
how to
forbidden
explain it.
fruit.
So yeah, I went through like literally everything you possibly could roller coaster wise, and it was we got back together, and then 2020 hit, and then everybody was locked down. Things went sideways with her. I got involved even before we broke up. I saw the writing on the wall, and that's when I got involved with MLD. And what I found in these groups is that everybody wanted to help each other. And then also, if you take one of these courses, it's not like you take the course, apply the information, and everything is solved. There's levels to it. So you need to absorb the information and continue trying to learn. And I wanted to help guys continue to learn. And it just everything clicked, and I just went for it. And I started helping guys. It's weird. Most of the guys that I work with are like fresh out of divorce, like a lot older than me,
Mm.
which is just so strange to me that I would be doing something like that. But I don't know. That's kind of how this whole thing happened. And I told myself, I'll be completely frank with you here. The relationship with Emily, that was her name. The relationship with Emily, I was probably pretty close to killing myself.
Mm.
And I told myself that if I could help just one person have the happy life that they wanted, then it would all be worth it. And I could call this thing that we call life a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I did it, and then I did it again, and then I did it a third time, and then I was like, I can't believe that I would never think of myself as being in this space,
Yeah.
but that was the goal that I set for myself. And then when I realized I was able to connect with people and help them in a certain way, I was like, I got to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm. So do you are you still I know you're a part of the Dragonship, but are you also still a part of like the Men's Empowerment Network then?
Uh, John and I have a different relationship. I won't
Okay.
really dive into it, but
That's
no,
fine.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I was wondering if like uh I'm just curious, like I love studying what MLD does. you know,
He's
he's
brilliant, man. He's brilliant.
guy's a genius. I like watching what he does, and I'm like, is he sort of like you know, because I there's no way like the amount of people that follow him, there's no way that he can possibly one-on-one coach everybody. So I'm like, does he sort of filter that through to coaches that are in the network? Like, hey, why don't you work with the HUDs here? Or I was just curious if that's how that
Yeah, no,
works.
that's interesting. It's interesting that you say that. And no, I do not believe so. I mean, he will filter people out depending on what you need to certain coaches that he brings on as like guest speakers and things like that. But yeah, there's not a lot of the one-on-one specialized coaching. It's more like throwing you into the fire, which
Mhm.
I think is actually kind of good because
Yeah.
it just throws you into all this information, all these different types of guys, and you absorb what you can, and then you figure out what area of your life you need to max out on, and then
Mhm.
you go from there.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's fascinating. What did that's not on the list here, but I just thought of it, and because we're talking about MLD, what do you think about all the shit that's being piled on him right now?
Okay, so my completely honest opinion,
Mhm.
I think that he did not handle it as best as he possibly could. That does not mean that he handled it poorly. I just think that there was a different way to approach it, whether it be, look, yeah, she even gave him an out. I'm pretty sure she gave him like a joke on, uh, like I don't know if you were drinking the henny and then just making comments. Like she gave him the out. He just be like, yeah, I apologize. I don't know exactly what I had said, And if I offended you and if I made this entire show or the conversation look stupid, I apologize. It was not my intent.
Mhm.
Like that is, I think, a better way of approaching it than how it happened. However, I mean, come on. There's no way that Sauce did not know exactly what was going on there. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
and then also when you think about what happened with the whatever podcast like a couple days before, um, I think it just wasn't worded appropriately. I understood what he was saying,
Mhm.
but the way it was worded, it came across like, if your man is like physical with you, stay with them. And I just think that it was two slip ups based on language,
Yeah.
and I just think that there's too much focus on it. But I mean, hey, a lot of people that don't know who MLD is now know who he is. So maybe
There's
he
no
was on
such thing as
purpose,
bad advertising, right? Like
right?
or bad press, you know. Yeah,
Hmm.
I looked at that sort of situations. You know, one thing that I learned from Ryan Stone is that oftentimes when like liberals, you know, I'm just throwing liberals out there, but when let's say the opposition, right? The opposition wants you to apologize for something. If you do come out and apologize, like that just gives them another avenue to attack you with, you know, because it's almost like you're admitting fault. So it's like even apologizing isn't necessarily a good thing. And but yeah, walking off the podcast, I was like, man, that just really looked bad, you know. Typically in a situation like that, you know, where a woman's just disrespecting you, you would want to remove your time and attention. Like that makes sense. But like when you're live on a podcast when everyone's watching, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I would have handled it in that spot because that would have been a heated situation. I like to think that I would have tried to handle it just like any other shit test, you know, just like agree and amplify, act indifferent. But you know, you can never can tell until you're in that position, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult. I mean, I know he had a heart out, and that's why it was like really disrespectful for them to like throw it on him at the last minute.
Mhm,
But I probably would have just shut out everybody else and talked directly to Adam right there.
mhm.
Adam, you knew I had a heart out. Now we're getting into this conversation. Why are you doing this to me right now? I understand that it's his show, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like, dude, we're friends.
Yeah.
What's going on right now?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. I definitely know that Angela, the gal that was beefing with him, she definitely knew what she was doing because
Mhm.
I just did a talk a live last night at the time of this recording with a mutual friend of mine and hers named Rudy. Rudy had me on. Rudy hates the red pill, you know, so he sort of brought me on as the bad guy to shit on to shit on the red pill. Thought I handled it pretty good, but he said like the night before of that episode, he's like, "Oh, Angela says that she's going to be on the show and she's going to call him out on it." Like he was on a live saying it. So I'm like, "Okay, so I knew that was at least premeditated on her part." You know, and then when all the women piled on and even the producer of the show started piling on, it was like, come on.
Yeah. When Nat did that, I don't know. That's what makes me a little sus that maybe Adam knew about it, but I don't know. But I have a feeling Nat probably got in trouble for that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, do you think MLD will ever go back on that show?
No. I mean, if he was smart, no. Like I would never stand for disrespect like that on a public platform
Yeah.
because it was done poorly. If they had a serious problem with it, that should have been a part of the script. That should have been done earlier. That
Hmm.
should not be done right at his heart out. So,
Right. Where they know that he's going to walk off because he's like, I got to go. Yeah, I hear you.
mhm.
All right. So going back to questions about you. So do you only coach men?
So far, yeah. So far, yeah. I have coached a couple women, not in the same formal sense. Um, I'm actually thinking of one right now. But yeah, it's typically only men.
Yeah. The only reason why I ask is most of the time I have dating coaches on. They're dating coaches for men, and I occasionally have female dating coaches for men on, which is those are always fun conversations. Um, but I had this guy once that came on, and he wasn't a part of the red pill space at all. Like I think we got in contact. There's a site called Matchmaker FM where they match guests with hosts, and so I brought this guy on as a dating coach. He seemed to, have some good information, kind of a little more woo-woo-y, a little more David Data type stuff. But he said that his primary clientele was women because he's like, women actually will invest in this type of thing. Women really want to invest in finding a good quality man, whereas a lot of guys just don't want to invest in themselves. It's kind of a harder market, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Well, that's interesting. That's why Matthew Hussey does so good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's also a good-looking guy and he's charismatic. But yeah. For me, I feel like with women, you have to end up charging them less for them to buy because it's an ego thing. I know that guys have crazy egos, but guys get to their breaking point and they're like, all right, let's figure this out. Whereas women, they end up pushing it off. And then, hey, if you're 38 years old and you don't have a man, I'm sorry, but there's not a ton I can do to help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you're fighting an uphill battle, lady. You you wasted all your good years partying it up or being a bitch or whatever. I don't know. Any number of reasons. All right, so who are your biggest influences or role models in the field of dating and relationships?
That's a good one. Well, definitely, I had already mentioned Matthew Hussey. The reason why I have him as a role model is because he figured it out, and he just sells the hopium, and he just makes the money.
The hopium.
The hopium for the girls, and they just eat it up. Like I've spoken with them. I've done some what is that app called? The talking one. I haven't used it.
What's that? What's that?
No, Telegram? The talking one. I haven't used that in it's the talking only, whatever. I'll figure it out. I can look it up. I'm just forgetting.
There's one called Vox, I know.
It's whatever the you know what? Let me just look at this quick.
Okay.
So it's
while you're looking that up, yeah, it's funny when you finally find like what sells, right? It's like, oh my God, do I do that? Or am I a grifter for doing that? Because one of my biggest I would say influences in the space was Corey Wayne, right? Like I've read How to Be a 3% Man like over 20 times now, and that really helped me on the dating circuit. I mixed it with some Dr. Glover and some Christopher Canwell stuff. And those are my big influences. But if you look at what brings 99% of people to Corey Wayne and Corey Wayne's videos and his books, it's the fact that they're all looking to try to get an ex back. That's not why I found his stuff, but that's what like most people, they're all trying to reattract an ex. And so he capitalizes on that and he sells, like, hey, these are the 7 principles to get your ex back. And my friend Benny, who's also a dating coach, and we sort of came up in the same men's group. He is blowing up right now on TikTok because he realized he started putting out videos about how to get your ex back. And he changed his whole title from dating coach to breakup coach. And now he's just selling the whole how to reattract an ex shit. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if I could do that because I don't believe in
it either.
I think it's a bad idea, So I'm like, God bless him, and he's making money and he's being successful. And I'm like, that's awesome, but I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, that's and I want to touch on that right now. I'm not going to be able to remember this. Everyone that's listening, and I know Glenn too. If he listens to this back, he's going to be like screaming what it's called.
Just comment below, guys. Comment below. That'll help with the algorithm. There, settled it. All right.
There you go. Simple enough. That's my biggest thing is when I have a conversation with somebody and I can tell that we're not a match, or they're looking for something that I can't deliver on,
Mhm.
I will direct them in the path that I can if I know somebody who can help them. But even so, I will turn them away because I care about helping people. I know this is like so stupid when you think about like the business aspect of it,
Yeah.
but one of the things, one
Some
of
of
the
us
things,
have some of us have integrity, and not to say that my friend Benny doesn't have integrity, but it's it's questionable, you know, like like I couldn't do it. Let me just say I couldn't do it. God bless him for doing it, you know.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that I used to say to clients when we would first talk is like once you were ready to sign up for something, telling them, once we're done here, I never want to fucking see you again.
Mhm.
And I know that comes across like rude, crass, whatever, but it comes with intent. And the intent is I want to give you the skills so that you never need my help again.
Mhm.
Now, granted, a lot of the clients that I have end up becoming good friends and they'll check in and whatnot, like, months down the line, years down the line. But that's really where I come from. And that's why it's like it's not so much profitable when you're doing it more one-on-one instead of group based. But it's not about profit for me. It's about like actually like fixing people's lives. I mean, hell, like I had this one dude who didn't oh my god. I think that he either lost his virginity to his ex-wife or she was only the second girl he slept with, something
Mhm.
like that. And working with him after like post divorce, and he's like sending videos over like, dude, like I'm just trying to like balance my portfolio, and it's just this super hot girl just like twerking in front of him, and it's like I can't concentrate. And that those types of stories happen over and over and over again, and I just love seeing how happy these guys are once they get it figured out, because it really is not that difficult.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of guys, we'll get into this too, but a lot of their problems is just self-limiting beliefs about what women are like, what their attraction level is, and stuff like that. So, let's go on to this. So, Matthew Hussey is one of yours. You're in MLD's group, obviously. Any other influences? Any books?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, definitely a lot of great books. I got 48 Laws of Power sitting in front of me right now.
Mm,
It's absolutely fantastic if you want to just kind of get the basics of how to navigate life. Um, I definitely have to say, obviously Rollo's books, Rational Male. However, I do have a sore spot in my heart on it because I actually fell asleep one day while listening to what is it? The second one, is it Positive Masculinity?
no, the second one is preventative medicine.
Prevent it. Yeah. I that's not related to Rollo and it's not related to Sambata, but I fell asleep and like drove off the road.
Oh, yeah, that's not their fault.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I had not slept the night before, so like that book for whatever reason is like stuck in my head. But
You got PTSD from that book.
yeah, but like I got Rational Male right here. Got Player's Handbook.
Player's Handbook. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so like I a huge fan of that. I got Rich's stuff here. I've interviewed Rich before. Really,
Yeah.
really, really great guy. Dude, it's so weird like seeing you guys like it's kind of like the new Rule Zero because like at the time it was after my arrest, and then as I was kind of like pulling my pieces back together,
Yeah.
like all of those people, everything changed. That was even back when Anthony Johnson was still a part of the whole thing before that whole stuff blew up.
Yeah, back before Rule Zero, they had the Red Man group, and they
Hmm.
were all a part of the Red Man group. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see like faces switch in and out. But I think you guys have a great variety right now, which is fantastic. So definitely that. I'm trying to think. I definitely want to say Thor. Thor taught me lessons I didn't know that I needed to know. And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is Thor has kicked me in the balls a couple times. And I mean that in the best way possible. But he has made me realize, that you need to grow up in certain areas of my life. And by doing so, I have. And I think that's why I look up to him. I mean, he really is. He's like a father to all. He really is a great guy.
Thor, man, out of all the guys in the space, is probably one of the most like just genuine, like caring dudes. Like for such a guy that he teaches a whole course on like dominant masculine presence, and he like lives it. But when you like talk to him, he's just such a caring, like cool individual. I don't know. Did you see his interview with Real Femme Sapien? She was like, I don't know what it is, but there's just something very warm about you. It's like,
Mhm. That's the thing is like he comes across as that like warm, nurturing guy, but like if he knows you and he knows that you're messing up, he will check you and you are not going to like being checked by him. But
yeah, but it's
he
good.
just
We need that. We need that as men,
Mhm.
I think. Yeah, for sure. All right. Next question. Are you a certified dating coach? Are you certified?
What the hell does that even mean? I am a
Dude, just say no, bro. Okay, this conversation's over. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to remember. My brain is off today. I only slept a few hours because I was up doing the nonsense of Glenn and the Red Pill songs, but that was still a fun stream anyways. What is it? Oh, I am a certified ordained minister, so I can marry you. But
Okay.
no, I am not a certified dating coach.
Are you an ordained minister through the Universal Life Church or through an actual reputable organization?
I will not comment.
Because I too am. When I first heard about that, it was like I was still in the Navy. Like the internet was still relatively new, and I found out that you could go online to the Universal Life Church and they play a recording and they ordain you as a minister, and then they will like you could print off a certificate saying that you're an ordained minister. So I was walking around in my ship. I was still in the Navy. I was walking around my ship, like telling people, "I bless you, my child. I am an ordained minister." Like just being a fucking asshole, But it was the reason why I ask is I first started seeing this on TikTok where people were like, "I'm a certified dating coach, certified." I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Who's the accrediting body? Like who is the authority on dating coaches? And I finally did have a guy on the podcast that was a certified dating coach. I was like, where do you even go to school for that? And he's like, oh, it's it's a very lengthy program and da 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 da. I was like, okay. And so I started looking into that kind of thing because I read the 4-Hour Work Week, and I found that there's some people out there that want that appeal to authority, right?
Yes.
And if you read the 4-Hour Work Week, they talk about, well, how do you become an authority overnight? Well, you can join an organization, you can get a certification, you can do all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm going to look into that. And so I opted to get a life coach certification. And so, yeah, it's just like an online class, you go through it. They tell you, you watch a couple videos. They tell you basically this is what a coach does. They recommend some books. You take some quizzes, and then bada bada, you're hamina damina, you're a life coach. I was like, okay. So I'm a certified master life coach now, but largely it's
Oh, you're a master?
I am a master. In fact, guys, I'll play this just for you guys out there.
Who's the master?
Expert rating.
.com certified. They're an ISO 9000 company, so they're reputable. So anyway,
Yeah, that's interesting because I went on a show. Oh, I don't know how long ago that was. Maybe it was like 2 months ago. But I went on a show and I actually got ambushed on this, but I put myself in the situation because they were talking about like, are online coaches credible? And so I put myself in the situation, and the way that I kind of like explain it to people is like, I mean, you can judge me or guess as much as you want, but that's a reason why I'm going to do a free initial consult with you. And if I vibe with you and you think I know what I'm talking about, let's do it. If not, you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay to talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the way I do it, I mean, I don't know how you market yourself, but I largely market myself with the podcast, and so and a lot of the advice I give people, I give for free on the podcast. Like you don't even have to sign up for my coaching if you don't want to. You can just listen to every episode and then pick out what's useful and then test it out. Go out and try it out. If what I'm saying works for you, cool. If you want to sign up for coaching after that, even better. But I always say, hey, don't take my word for it. Just go out and try it,
Yeah, I have to catch myself because with all the shows and different things that I do, I got to understand what needs to be like behind a paywall and what's okay,
Oh,
because I just end up spewing. I
yeah.
just end up spewing everything.
Well, I don't worry so much about that. But I understand, and I should probably do that, but I'm just like, I just want to give value, so I give a lot of my shit away for free. And it's just like, if you just want to tune in every week, you're probably good. You're actually probably, I'm probably giving away way more away than I should be. But, and I think where the coaching really comes in handy though, is like the accountability factor, you
Mm,
know, because we can actually sit down and set up a goal for you and actually set out, sort of smart steps to where you can attain that goal. You can go out and practice some of this stuff. And then when we follow up next time, I'm like, hey, did you do it? Did you do what we talked about? And, you know, excuses are
I'm
like
sure you've
assholes.
had I'm sure you've had this experience too when you set very specific goals for somebody and they may not be like grandiose, very
Yeah.
simple things for them to do. And then they don't do them and they don't do them a couple times. And then you need to just say to them, like, look, I'm sorry, but I can't help you if you don't want to work at this.
Hmm.
That's happened to me a couple times. I mean, maybe I'm a little too strict
Yeah.
with my guys, but at the same time, it's like, look, I want to work with you. Like, what are we doing otherwise? You're just paying for what? My friendship?
Right. Right. And that, the way I look at it is, I will straight up tell them, I'm like, hey, man, we're setting these goals. If you want to just pay me and then just give me excuses every week, like I'm happy to take your money. I'd much rather you not do that. I'd much rather you get some value out of this, but you can't be like, well, this program wasn't effective for me if you don't put in the work, like, because you're the one that has to do the work. I can't be on the ground talking to chicks for you, like you have to do it,
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the frustrating part, man. Um, what sets your coaching style apart from others in the industry, would you say?
That's an interesting question. What sets it apart from the rest of the industry? I think it's probably what we were just kind of talking about, being more personalized, and I think that that's kind of a problem for me long term. But I care more about the results than anything else. So having it be the one-on-one, very intimate, very catered to exactly what you're going through and how I can help that's definitely something that's different with it. And then also the dating apps, that's my bread and butter. And dating apps became my bread and butter because of getting back together with that girl and the breakup. And I was boom, right smack in the middle of lockdown. So I had to figure it out. So I had to go through everything to make it work. And I got it to a point where I can just do direct to home dates like it's nobody's business. I've even not only that, like I had not gone on a date that was not direct to home since I learned all of that. And then also on top of that, I've even had girls like bring me bring me dinner, bring me wine, something like that. Uh even on the first date at my place where I don't have to do anything. They're
Mhm.
point to me. So really understanding the social dynamics there, I think that's kind of what sets me apart. I know there's a lot of guys out there that, I know Alex from Playing with Fire had always put out like he's like the Tinder king. Um, Hinge is my specialty, and trust me, that thing is so easy to play. So I would say that it's the one-on-one catered advice plus the fact that I know dating apps like the back of my hand.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a dating app guy too because there's some guys that are like, oh, dating apps suck and they crap all over dating apps. I'm like, to me, it's the most efficient way to meet people. And then where I live out in the middle of nowhere. I live out in ranch country. So I always say like there's no cold approach in the cow pasture, right? All the chicks that I meet because I'm in a rural area, they're an hour away. So dating apps is like the only way to do it. And then when you're in a rural area too, like Hinge, like pretty much just came out when I was last time I was on the dating circuit, like back in 2020, just came out. There was like very little activity on Hinge. And but when you're in a rural area, you just have to be on all the apps. You,
Mhm.
you just have to cast a wide net and then see where it goes. So yeah, I'm with you on that, man. A lot of guys like they get so lost in the weeds with the statistics and stuff. It's like, dude, it's not that hard to set yourself apart on a dating app. It's really not. So
I'm gonna drop a gem here just for everybody. This is like one of my favorite tips. We're not gonna drop everything, but this one definitely hone in on, especially in a rural area, as you were saying, as you're just getting started. So the best thing that you can do in these dating apps, like especially on Hinge, you can set the mile radius. I don't know if you can on all of them. Sometimes it requires like pro or whatever else. But if you start at the very beginning, you set up your profile well, start it at the smallest distance possible. And then that's where you're going to practice. And then as you move forward in those interactions, you slowly widen the radius so that in the close ones that maybe can walk to your place or you could drive down the street to her, you could blow those up, but might as well blow those up that are in your direct vicinity so that once you get to like the 5, 10, 15 mile radius, you got your game on point.
mhm.
I always tell people that, like, especially too, because they only give you a limited amount of swipes. So, for example, with Hinge, it's only 7 per day and it resets at 4 a.m. EST. So, you only got 7 swipes a day. If you're casting a wide net, the chances are a little bit lower, and maybe you get a super hot girl, and then you screw it up because you don't have the practice yet. So starting small, like 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 4 mile, 5 mile, that has worked for it worked for me, and it
Yeah.
worked for every single guy I've done that with.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like my area is like, I like to think anyway, that's it's very unique because it's largely a retirement area. Right. I ended up here because of the whole divorce situation, which is like,
Yeah, I didn't
almost
know you were a gilf hunter. Huh? Interesting.
yeah. Hey, man, those gilfs. No, so we ended up here, and this is where like my parents retired, and so they like whenever you go to the store, it's all just like old fogies out here, right? And so I could set my radius that far, but man, the chicks like in the local vicinity are either like really old or they're disgusting trailer trash. So it's, but you know what? It's good practice. I looked at one thing I like for practice is catfish dates, and a lot of guys like to filter out the catfish dates by doing like video calls first. And you can also filter them out because they're doing like the angles and the filters and shit. And you can usually filter them out. But sometimes chicks are using pics from like 10 years ago. And the only way to filter them out is with like a video first, but I wouldn't do that. I would just meet them out in town. And then if they were a catfish, I was like, okay, well, I can at least practice my bantering, my body language and stuff like that. It's over after one drink, no big deal. It's time well spent practicing, I thought. So that's what I would do for practice.
That's interesting because Yeah, 100%. I always tell people you got to do the video date first.
Mhm.
And I'll coach guys exactly how to land that, make it happen, and make it worthwhile. If I were in a situation exactly like you were saying and going on a date with a girl that essentially catfished me, what I would do is I would actually be honest with her and be like, look, you don't look like your photos, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. But who knows? Like,
Yeah.
maybe you're a really cool person and maybe we get along. Like, let's still hang out, but I want to understand why are you using 10-year-old photos? Like, why? Like, I try and understand the psychology of everybody.
Mm.
So I would do the date not just to be polite. I would do the date to try and like understand the mindset of why she's not representing herself appropriately.
Yeah. That would be an interesting way of going about it. One thing I don't think guys should do at all is tell her, "Hey, f you, bitch," and then and then like turn around, and walk, go home and wank off and be pissed off all night. Because to me, that's time wasted. You drive all the way out to a venue just to tell a chick off and go home and jerk off anyway. But you could have just stayed home and jerked off. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I so
I got a question for you on this.
yeah.
So when it comes to like a girl flaking on a date
Mm.
or a girl catfishing you on a date, like what is your advice to guys on how to handle or be prepared for that?
Oh, you know what? That's funny that you're asking me that because I was going to ask you about flakes. So one thing I tell guys is that there's no way to fully eliminate flakes or ghosts on the dating circuit because women are just inherently flaky. But you can minimize that by not setting dates too far in advance. I'm like 2 to 3 days in advance is probably your best possible bet to minimize flakage. 4 at the max, but anything more than 4 days out, if she's not available within the next 4 days, like just postpone asking her on a date. Just say, you know what, I'll ping you in a couple days and we'll set something up. Um, you also, when you're in the middle of that conversation, you want to close on a high point. So when you're just said something funny, everyone's laughing or whatever, you want to close then. You don't want to wait until the conversation dies down and then ask, because they're not up in their feels enough. So that's what I would say, to minimize it. And then I also like, some dating coaches don't like confirming for dates. I tell guys confirm.
100%.
I'm like, you gotta confirm, and that gives them an out if they're gonna flake. Because if they're gonna flake, they're not flaking because you confirmed. They're flaking because they were going to flake anyway. It gives them an out, and then you're not wasting your time. And then other than that, it's like chicks are just flaky. You just have to shrug it off. And the best possible way to not be affected by it is by having a bunch of women in your rotation. Because Grant Cardone, a really good book called Sell or Be Sold, he talks about this. He put it in a really good way. Basically, a guy who goes to sell something and then loses that sale, he's not really upset that he lost the sale. He's upset that he didn't fill his pipeline. And really, you got to look at dating like it's a sales pipeline. And so you want to
Yes.
get you want to get a bunch of girls in your rotation. So that way, if you do lose the one girl because she flaked on you, who cares? You're talking to Cindy and Susan and whatever. Like, you have options. And, so
Let me
that's what I
let me
say.
let me ask you on that. Are you like, do you like stacking dates? Because I know that's kind of something that's put out there. Like, you schedule like 2 girls, 3 girls for one night, and then you pick whichever one you definitely know you're going to see.
I've never recommended that to people, but I can understand how that might be effective, because that probably one of them's going to flake on you. But I
Mhm.
don't like being telling guys to be the one that's flaky.
There we
So
go. That's why I like you, Paul. That's why I like
yeah.
you. Because what I subscribe or prescribe or whatever the hell you want to coin it as, I like stacking activities instead of stacking dates, because at the end of the day, you want to be treated the way, like, you treat people the way you want to be treated.
Hmm.
And if I have a girl flake on me, it pisses me off and it sucks.
Yeah.
Uh, there was only one time recently where that happened, and that really, it like threw my head through a loop.
Mhm.
And I knew exactly what like was going on, and I was like, all right, just accept it. But even so, I was still pissed off because like, how could she?
Yeah.
But I was already planning to go to the gym that night, and I had rearranged my schedule so that I was going to be seeing her instead. So what did I do? I just went to the gym like I originally planned to. So it wasn't a big deal.
Mhm.
So I personally, I hate the stacking dates type of thing. It does make sense, but I like saying stacking activities. Like always have something else that you could be doing
Yeah.
so that when this happens, you're not just left with nothing at all.
Right. Yeah. I think it really helps to have, other girls in a rotation, then also have like other fun hobbies that you can be doing, going to the gym. This podcast was one of the things that helped me through that. In fact, my very first episode is called She Canceled on Me because I was planning on doing the podcast anyway, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do my first episode on. And then I had this date lined up, the chick canceled on me. I go, well, guess what? I guess we're recording a podcast tonight, didn't have a problem with it. Did a whole episode about how, this chick canceled on me and whatever. So yeah, I mean, that's really, you just have to have, a lot of guys, they have this concept of abundance. You got to have this abundant mindset. Well, abundant mindset happens when you have multiple women and multiple activities in your life. If you're
Mhm.
doing fun and exciting things anyway, chicks can come or go. It doesn't really matter. So,
Absolutely.
and karma's a real thing. If you're canceling on other chicks, I mean, it's going to come around to get you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, I have to ask you a question just while it's on my mind.
Mhm.
Weren't you the last person to interview ARC?
I was. Yeah. I think I
Alan
was.
Roger Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, or close to, regardless.
Yeah, because I interviewed him and it was like, man, I swear three weeks before, and then he passed away, and I was like, I don't know that anybody. I think I might be the last one, And then I saw you put out a tribute video, and I go, oh, maybe he was the last one, but I
No,
think
I was not the last one. That
okay,
was in 2020 that I did that. But
okay,
no, I'm glad that you knew that because I was just going to share with you like that man, I loved it, and it's kind of leading into a question to you, like what is your approach style? Because one thing that I'm kind of struggling with right now is getting people to understand, like getting clients to understand that mode one isn't for everybody, and there's a
hmm
reason why there's different versions of mode one that fits different personalities. Like if you are, more of the softer guy, like the girl like views you as I wouldn't say like a little puppy, but versus somebody who's more aggressive,
hmm
they just view you a little bit differently. What is your approach style, and how do you help people with that? Because for me, it's always been mode one. I knew mode one before I even knew what mode one was, and
hmm
that's why, like when Alan and I were talking, we really just had chemistry because we both knew exactly what we were talking about, and
yeah.
it's crazy when you have that energy and you let it flow. So I'm curious on that.
Yeah. So when I first talked to Alan, the reason why I got in contact with him is because I had a misconception of what mode one was. I thought it was literally just walking up saying, hey, you want to fuck. And because that's what a lot of people think it is. And then someone tagged him in a video I did, and he lost his shit on me, as he should have, about it, saying, you're misrepresenting my stuff. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I haven't read your book. Let me read it. So I read mode one, and then I read his third book. I skipped the second one because that's all about time wasters, but I read his third book, Ooh, Say It Again. And what I didn't realize is that mode one really isn't necessarily about approach per se. It's more about the four modes of communication. And what I realized was I thought it was all about being sexual, and it's not. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual. You can be direct and not be sexual. And so what I found was that usually a lot of the stuff that I tell guys comes from Dr. Robert Glover, which is basically testing for interest. Like there's three levels of interest that you're testing for, and then the touch, tease, and tell, the three T's. And so that's usually what I teach guys. And it's really just about testing for interest. But what I found is that when the tell part, right? The tell is when you like you require something of a chick and you tell her what to do, that's being direct. That is mode one,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say like a lot of the stuff that I teach guys, a little bit combination of mode 2 and mode 1. Definitely not mode 3, definitely not mode 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head because like for me, mode one, it was just second nature. And
Mhm.
so like I'm trying to like help some guys right now and they hear my stories, they understand like mode one, like from my perspective, but they don't understand that it does not work for them. Like I think
Yeah.
it has to match a personality type.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And the way I looked at dating too, because some guys like you said, your first dates, you're getting them back to your place, right? That's pretty bold. The way I looked
No,
at,
it's not getting them back to my place. I
but
only do first dates at my place.
you only do it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
So
like I they drive there
yeah.
or one of the things my one of my guys down in Mexico City, well, not one of my guys, I mean like one of my friends, what he does down in Mexico is he actually orders the Uber to just bring the girl to him. And so I love that. But I didn't mean to derail. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's bold, right? And I would say like that a lot of guys would love that. I think a lot of guys would prefer something like that, but I don't think a lot of guys can attain that. That might be a self-limiting belief though. The way I looked at dates was it's a chemistry test, right? And you could do that with a video call too, I would say, but I'm of the mindset that you really can't get to know someone unless you're like in person with them. Because then you
Hmm.
have like all their faculties, their body language. You can see everything they're doing. You can't necessarily do that. You can get a lot of that with video, but you can't get all of it. And then there's still the possibility. I don't know. There's some camera apps and stuff that where they can still do some filters and shit. So you really
Yeah.
only get to know them in person. So I used to look at first dates like a chemistry test, and it was drinks only. So let's meet up for drinks. If I like her, cool. If I don't like her, it's over after one drink. And it was just really to see if I liked her or not. And then always go for a kiss, at the end of the date, because that's like the test of interest for me. Is what I teach guys. And then, if you like her and you go for the kiss and everything, she's very receptive to all that stuff. Then date 2, you can, invite her over to your house for dinner. And that's
Mm.
I would usually have guys do that for a second date or a third date if they wanted to, push it out a little bit, but no more than 3 dates before finding a way to get them back to your place. But
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I like that. What the reason why I love the video calls so much, and I'm glad that you had brought it up before and bringing it up again. It really that's your screen. It's your
Mhm,
screen to see like, does she actually look like her photos? Do I actually enjoy hanging out with her?
mhm,
Are we actually going to be able to get along? And then you don't have to waste the time over even just that one drink, which is very low investment. I mean, low investment dates, 100%. Like low investment only, because you guys are just feeling each other out. But
mhm.
that's your initial screen. And from that initial screen, like I don't, quite honestly, I don't think that you should go more than 2 dates without some type of intimacy. Personally, that's my opinion.
Mhm.
When you get to a certain level, I think it's more two instead of three. But if you're doing all the steps leading up to it, it's very low investment on your part of just screening them out, and then everything just kind of falls into place.
Mhm. Yeah, which sort of leads me to I think pretty much my last question. Then we'll wrap up here, because like I said, like I think a lot of guys might have a mental block of getting a chick to come directly to their house for a first date. So that would be a self-limiting belief, right? So what are some common misconceptions, myths, or other self-limiting beliefs that you often encounter with your coaching?
Oh, okay. Let me think about it. Self-limiting beliefs in the guys. Well, I mean, obviously, one of the first ones is style and looks. So there's like I've even had a guy fly out here and we went on a shopping spree. well, I don't know if I would call it a spray, but I did like a fashion consult with him, and we went out and kind of revamped everything for him. Um, Anybody, even if you're not great looking, you can fix things up pretty easily. So thinking, oh, well, I'm not Giga Chad, so I can never be more attractive, or I can never be attractive enough for the girls that I want. That's a joke. Personally, I do not go to the gym as much as I should. And I mean, Glenn's always on my case about it, but yeah, it is what it is. I'll keep fighting him till the day I die, because it's the mouthpiece and the energy that you bring that's most important.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times, like even if you think back to some of the random guys you know that are like super overweight, or like the guys you knew in high school or college or whatever that were like overweight, but like girls just seem to love them. Why was that? Well, it's because they've got a good mouthpiece and they're fun to be around.
Mhm.
So as long as you have a good mouthpiece and you're fun to be around, you can override looks. So looks really are not a factor. I really don't think looks are much of a factor at all.
What I tell guys is looks are more of a factor on dating apps, you know, because it comes down to your pictures a lot, your pictures in your bio.
Mhm.
But in person, yeah, looks don't really matter if, as long as you're charismatic and you're confident and bold, you know.
Yeah, and when we have apps like Facetune and others, like you can clean up photos of yourself for the dating apps anyways. And yes, I mean you're doing the same thing that the girls are doing, where it's like, oh, posting a picture 10 years ago. But at the same time, like as long as you're not being ridiculously disingenuous with it, it's really not a problem. And that's why we do the FaceTime call, doing that video call, because then she's also seeing you. She's
Mhm.
also seeing you. So it works for both parties, because really the reason why I do all this is because I want to bring the genders together,
Mhm.
not push them apart. So you got to treat it the same way, and you got to. It's not all about you, which I think a lot of the times the men's self help ends up turning into.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's about two parties. It's about two people, two human beings, like trying to come together, because the yin and the yang is probably the most beautiful thing that has ever been created, because it is a perfect representation of what we're supposed to be as male and female.
Mhm.
So
Perfectly connected. That's lovely. It's lovely. Let's all just no, just kidding. Let's all just woo woo
I
right
don't know
now.
if you're making fun of me or what right now.
No, no, I'm not. Dude, I have a law of attraction course, man. Come on.
Yeah, I know. And dude, your thing that you did with in Thor's group, that was absolutely fantastic. I really, really enjoyed you walking through the whole thing.
Yeah, that was fun. You know what's so funny about that too is because some of the other guys in Rule Zero, they're not big fans of law of attraction, right? Like I don't think Ryan is. Uh, Paul Benjamin, he told me after like I first announced that I was having that course, he's like, "Man, I wouldn't have called it that." and and then Rolo, he thinks it's all magical thinking. He calls it the positivity grift, And but Thor is way into it, and Thor knows so much about it that I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I really should pick Thor's brain more about it, because he studies that stuff, man. He studies like the quantum theory stuff of it, where I
Yeah,
go,
no, it was crazy. It was crazy when like I was asking you a question, and
yeah,
then Thor hopped in and just went like on like a 5-minute monologue about the entire thing, because
I
he was like so
appreciate that though.
excited about it. It was
Yeah,
awesome. It was so cool.
yeah. I think that's why he really like is a proponent of the course, because it's funny when guys implement it. It, it and they master it, they realize that it works, right? Like the first time you do something with it and you see that it's working, like it changes your life, because it you can use it in all areas of your life. It's crazy. And first time I realized it and I really started focusing on it and doing it, and I started seeing all this stuff happen. I'm like, this is nuts. This is nuts. Like you're absolutely in control of your own destiny when you learn this stuff. So yeah, that was a fun thing. Hopefully I can do another Dragonship here pretty soon. If not, then at least I have fun on the dragon ships on Saturdays. The public dragon ship shows. Those are always fun to do. Well, those are all the questions I have for you, man. Where can people find you online?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the best place to find me is going to be Instagram at the husband right there. Honestly, I just love this stuff. So if you wanted to just shoot me a message, question, or throw something down below as a comment, I'll get back to you because I just want to help guys. And I don't really care about the money or anything else in this space. Also from there, you can book coaching calls if you would like from the link tree. And it'll bring you to my website and everything else. But Instagram's the best, at least for me.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining me. I'll give you the rest of your afternoon back, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul. This was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Welcome back anytime. Huds, thanks again for joining me, man. You're welcome back anytime. Tell that jabroni friend of yours, Glenn Lawrence, that I'm going to put his ass through a table. He can't hide behind you for much longer, Huds, because we're meeting in September for Summer Smash. That's going to happen. Okay. You let him know that he can't run from me. He can't run from me forever. All right. Anyways, I hope you guys got a really, good value. I hope you guys got really good value out of this conversation. It was fun. Huds is a good guy. Like I said, he's welcome back anytime. Be sure to tune in to the live stream on Wednesday. I already have those planned out. I'm going to be doing, let's see, what is the live stream for Wednesday? Let me pull up my folders here. We've got, let's see, we did this. We're going to live stream for Wednesday is going to be how you should take some time to heal, right? When you get done with a breakup, don't just rush into your next relationship. Take some time to heal. Maybe learn to be alone for a little bit. All right. Just maybe if you have to go out and get laid, just spin plates. All right. But do not jump into your next relationship 3 days after you had a breakup. Okay. That's just not a healthy thing to do. You never learned the lessons that caused your last relationship to fail. All right. You never take the time to figure out what you could do better in the next relationship that would make the next relationship a success. All right. We're going to talk about that on Wednesday. All right, guys, if you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji. You know what to do. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list, list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you some free stickers for your troubles. If you like those designs, they're also available in the merch store, merch.comeonmanpod.com. We also have Rule Zero stuff, Rule Zero merch in the merch store at merch.comeonmanpod.com. Check out the Practical Law of Attraction course, LOA.comeonmanpod.com. It's not genies granting wishes, guys. Okay. It's not magic. It's psychology. It's reprogramming your subconscious mind. I'll teach you how to do that in this course. And once you change your subconscious mind to focus on the goals that you want in life, you're going to achieve goals so big, it will blow your mind. All right. And get the Law of Attraction course for 25% off for the entire month of July when you join the Patreon. Existing Patreon members, you get the coupon code too. It's already posted on Patreon. So all you have to do is join. You can join for as little as $10 for tier 1. Tier 1 also gets access to my monthly happy hour hangouts. Okay. Next one's July 20th. So get on that. And I have free trials turned on for tier 1. So you can join as a free trial as well. So check that out. Links in the description for that, but you can also browse to patreon.com/comeonmanpod. That's all I have for this episode. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.